going on, y'all? Welcome to another edition of Gen Sports Corner, back at you for 2/2/2020. A lot of twos, a lot of zeros, right? Excuse me for being a little bit late today. I was having some technical difficulties with the computer. For some reason, my camera wasn't working. Facebook was giving me an error that the live stream wouldn't work. There was some type of live stream error. So, all that being said, doesn't matter. I'm with y'all now. Going to get into this big Super Bowl matchup between the 49ers and the Kansas City Chiefs. The San Francisco 49ers and the Kansas City Chiefs. I've been doing a lot of film breakdown because I was really unsure about this game and how it was going to play out. A lot of different factors to consider in this game. A lot of things that I wasn't sure about. These teams, in my opinion, this is a coin toss type of game. It's a 50-50 game. It's a pick'em game in a sense because you have two teams that are very well put together. One team's explosive on offense. The other team is just, they bring a lot on offense. A really sharp offensive mind with Kyle Shanahan, and that defense is for real. So on the surface, it's easy to kind of pick one way or another, like I kind of did with the 49ers. But that was early in the week. I really don't like making predictions until I'm able to really sit down and just kind of break down the film, digest what strengths each team has, and really give an informed opinion. We made some predictions on Playmakers Radio Live this Tuesday for the Super Bowl and who we thought were going to win, and we all went with the 49ers. I mean, obviously, Chris, he's going to go with his team because that's his squad, and that's why they call him Chris the Casual, because, why wouldn't you not rock out with your squad? But me and Matt, just on the surface level, we thought the 49ers would win. I know Matt believes that the 49ers defense is going to really have something for that Chiefs offense. He thinks they're going to hit him in the mouth, and that's going to be that. I tend to disagree with that sentiment to a certain extent and I talked about that on the show, but there are some things that stuck out to me about the Chiefs this year, especially going down the stretch. And I looked a little bit into both of these squads, and here are some of the things that I saw, just to not make this too long because I know people got things to do today. And what's going on, Jenna? People got things to do today, and they had to go get their food and the drinks and all that other stuff. But here's some things that stuck out to me. So first and foremost, you look at this Chiefs team. They're explosive, led by Pat Mahomes and that Andy Reid West Coast style offense. They have all those explosive weapons. You have Tyreek Hill, the cheetah, hard to catch, looks like a blur when he's running. You have a lot of other weapons. You have Sammy Watkins. You have Mecole Hardman. You have, obviously, little brother Travis Kelce over there playing at tight end. Best tight end in the NFL right now between him and then Zach Ertz. So you have so many weapons on that offense. And then you look at, on the flip side, to the 49ers, that team, that run game, Kyle Shanahan, bringing over that offensive genius from the Atlanta Falcons. Yeah, he didn't get it done a couple years ago against the Patriots, but he's brought those concepts and schemes over to the 49ers and really transformed that offense in the span of 3 years. 2017-18 had that team looking different, and then this year they've been on a roll. And then defensively, man, they lock people down. They just really lock people down. What's going on, Chris? We getting into this Super Bowl Sunday. Yeah, I know. That's the squad, right? We're getting into the Super Bowl Sunday, and with the 49ers, you got Richard Sherman, obviously, over there on that defense. You have that defensive line with Nick Bosa, Solomon. That whole front four, they're ferocious, they're tenacious. They do blitz, but they don't have to blitz you. They're good enough to get after you at 4. That's what makes them really tough to beat. So, the Niners, they really bring it on both sides of the ball. But here's some things that I was looking at, and here's the synopsis of some of the stats that stuck out to me. Neither team has a really good run defense. You would think that this 49ers defense, as physical as they are and sideline to sideline speed, you would think that their run defense is extremely stout, but it's really not. They give up about 4.5 yards per carry. and the Chiefs give up 4.9 yards per carry. So neither team is really good in terms of stopping the run, but they're both really good in the red zone against the run. The 49ers have only given up 11 rushing touchdowns, but the Chiefs have only given up 14 rushing touchdowns. So they're not lagging that far behind in the red zone. 49ers force a lot of fumbles, so that's one thing to keep in mind. That being said, San Fran, they're great against the pass. That's where their strength lies. But they don't get a lot of interceptions. They just kind of like suffocate you, stifle you, and just kind of stick to you like glue. But the defense for the KC Chiefs, they're surprisingly good. And they do it in a bend but don't break fashion. Completely different styles of defense, but the Chiefs have been very good this year. What's going on, Rod? Welcome to the podcast. The Chiefs have been really good this year. They've kind of flown under the radar, and I didn't really realize how good they were down the stretch. I believe the Chiefs were the number one defense in the NFL over the past 4 weeks of the regular season. Now, the level of competition wasn't astronomically great, but still, like, they were getting after people. They were getting sacks. They only have about 3 less sacks than the 49ers. Now, you think with the 49ers front, now they're top 5 defense in terms of sacks with 48, but the Chiefs have 45 sacks. They get after you. The 49ers have 12 interceptions. Chiefs got 16 interceptions. Top 5. What's going on, bro? They're good. They're sneaky good, and people have not been paying attention to them. And I haven't been, and that's something that's really crept up on me when I've gone and actually looked between the lines with this team. So those are the two things that stick out to me. You have 2 very good defenses. One great defense, but one defense that's really good. They're not great, but they're good. They're an opportunistic defense. Kind of reminds me of the Saints when they won the Super Bowl. When the Saints won the Super Bowl, they were opportunistic defense. Second thing that kind of stuck out to me, you have 2 great third down offenses. KC does it through the air. They don't run as much. San Fran, obviously, they do it on the ground. You know, they get those third downs in the run game. Tevin Coleman, Matt Breida. You know, they pound the rock. One is great, and like I said, one's very good on third down defense, which is the Chiefs. So, hey, San Fran, they get off the field on third down. But KC is not that far behind in terms of stopping opposing offenses on third down. So, again, surprising, to me at least. Kansas City, they get chunk yards and first downs through, in my opinion, pass interference through the air. That's how they get down the field. They just, you know, Pat Mahomes getting outside of the pocket and just being able to extend the play for so long that you can't cover the wide receivers and you have to, you know, grab, pull, do whatever you can to not give up a touchdown or have a guy running wide open down the field. Couple other things. KC, they have ball hawks. San Fran, they force fumbles. That's the way that each team gets their turnovers. And one thing that concerns me with the 49ers is that the 49ers and the Chiefs, they both have fumbled the ball away 10 times, lost 10 fumbles. But the 49ers have thrown 13 interceptions, where the Chiefs have only thrown 5 interceptions, which is top 5 in terms of turnovers. That concerns me because Jimmy G, he's been doing what they ask of him. He's been doing enough to win games when he's put in an advantageous spot. He goes up and he shows out and he performs. But when he's forced to make throws under pressure in critical situation, he's made mistakes. He's made mistakes. I remember that Seahawks game, the one that they went into overtime, I believe. That final drive, and it might have been that game in the fourth quarter to kind of come down and tie the game up. First play, he throws what should have been a pick 6, and fortunately for him, the defender dropped the ball. But those type of plays, that concerns me with Jimmy G versus this KC defense. And 2 players that stick out to me, they're not good on the outside, but at safety, the Chiefs are very good. the Honey Badger, Tyrann Mathieu. Great signing this year. And then Daniel Sorensen, who has really stepped up his level of play. Not an over-the-top athletic type of strong safety, but the IQ. This playoff run, the IQ that he's had. He's been in spots where you think that when the offense is running misdirection, they're going to get him going one way. No. He has the mental discipline, mental fortitude to be able to read and diagnose a play and be able to make the correct play and be there to make the tackle. And he has really impressed me. What's going on, Karan? He's really impressed me with his football IQ and being able to make big plays in big spots in the game. He had the tackle on the fourth down, the fake punt against the Texans. The fake punt against the Texans, he was able to make that tackle because mentally before the play, he was following the guy that got the snap of the ball. He was following him when he was making his adjustments. When the guy was moving back and forth on the offensive side, he was just following him. And he put himself in position and then made the read and flew to the ball, made the tackle. Big play in the game. Could have been what changed the game for the Chiefs on their way to getting the lead and then blowing out the Texans. Plays like that. So I think he's gonna make a big impact this game. Now, some of my notes for each side of the ball. Looking at the Chiefs, some of their keys for the game. First off, Chris Jones. If you haven't heard about him, look him up. Number 95, defensive tackle for the Kansas City Chiefs. Had 9 sacks this year. That is a lot of sacks for a defensive tackle. And one thing that he does, he can single-handedly wreck a game. He can break a double team. There was one play against the Chargers where it was a 3-man rush. He's lined up in the middle, over the center. The ball snapped. The right guard is just kind of looking at Jones like, okay, if he gets around the center, I'm gonna help out in a double team. Jones shed the block and got through the gap so fast the guard didn't even know what the hell happened. And before he could blink his eye, Chris Jones was in the backfield sacking Phillip Rivers. That's the type of impact this guy can have on the game. He can single-handedly beat double teams. So I'm really curious as to what the 49ers are going to do to address him. Because he's a game wrecker. Last year, the 49ers and the Chiefs played a game. I think it might have been either week 1 or might have been week 3. Might have been week 3. Kansas City playing the 49ers, and different team, different players, I get it. But we saw, in my opinion, maybe a small synopsis of what might happen today, which is you have a very good run game with the 49ers. They're going to run up and down the field on the Chiefs. That's just what I think. They're going to run up and down the field on them at will. But when they get into that red zone, it's going to be a whole different scenario. You're going like Tyrann Mathieu and Sorensen, they change things. They clamp down once you get inside that 20. They're very good red zone defense. And what I saw last year was the Chiefs. They just have so many ways to beat you. So many ways to all these freaking notifications. So many ways to attack your defense. Andy Reid just schemes it up so well, man. He just gets in there with the pot and just cooks it up. And he has so many ways to attack that cover 3 shell that the 49ers like to play a lot. They like to play that cover 3 shells and have their cornerbacks play in a bail technique. Richard Sherman is one of the best of all time in doing that. But their other cornerback, that's going to be an issue. And we saw issues with that 49ers defense in both of the Cardinals games this year. Cardinals, they don't have a very good offensive line, but they have Kyler Murray, and they're a pass-happy team. And guess what happened? They ran the ball very well out of shotgun, and Kyler Murray was picking apart that cover 3 defense. Once he settled down a little bit, he started picking them apart. Christian Kirk was catching passes all over the place, up the seam, against that cover 3 shell. And they had big issues against them. And I think they're going to have big issues against the Chiefs. They did last year, and I think some of those same issues they're going to have again this year, as we saw in the Cardinals game. Both of the Cardinals games this year. The Chiefs, they struggle in the playoffs against cover one. But I don't know how well Richard Sherman is going to be able to play cover one man press against Tyreek Hill. Because as we've seen before, what's up, Milstead? As we've seen before, Richard Sherman can get beat deep. He got beat deep by Deshaun Jackson last year when they played. Pure speed. So, I mean, Tyreek Hill, I mean, the Tennessee Titans, they matched up very well. And they could only do but so much playing a cover one and trying to match up across the board against the Chiefs. It worked for a little bit, but once they figure out what you're doing, man, you better have plan B, C, all the way through Z, or it's going to be a long day. And I think that's where some of the issues are going to come in. And then if you take away Tyreek Hill, who's going to cover Kelce? Tell me, who is going to cover Travis Kelce? It's going to be tough. 49ers, they're up to the task, but it's going to be tough. It's going to be headaches for the 49ers. And then I look at that other cornerback on the other side of the field opposite of Richard Sherman, Emmanuel Mosley. And I'm going to tell you right now, the man's a liability out there on the other side. Richard Sherman can lock down one side of the field, but Mosley playing that bail technique. I mean, I saw the Redskins able to have success against him. The Redskins have absolutely no wide receivers, and they were able to target Mosley. So what do you think what's going on, Jules? What do you think that the Chiefs are going to do? Richard Sherman don't move across the field. As great as he is, and yes, he's hating to a certain extent, Darrelle Revis does have a point in that sense. They're going to move Tyreek Hill back and forth across the field. They're going to split out Travis Kelce to different parts of the field. They're going to match up Kelce and Tyreek Hill on Mosley. And what do you think is going to happen? There's going to be serious issues there. So that would concern me as a 49ers fan. And then also, the Chiefs run the ball well. They don't run it much, but when they run the ball, they run it well. Between Damian Williams and I can't remember the backup, they average like 4.5 to 4.6 yards a pop when they run the ball. They run the ball real well, especially out the shotgun. So if you think that this Chiefs team can't run the ball, think again. They're going to run the ball reminiscent in the way that they use Brian Westbrook for the Eagles. I'm not going to run it a ton, but when they do, they're going to have some lanes to run the ball, as the Cardinals did. Cardinals ran the ball all up and down the field on the 49ers. Eric Fisher at left tackle. Wisniewski, former guard for the Super Bowl winning Eagles, on that line. And he picked them up. They're going to run the ball all right, so keep your eye open for that. Then looking on the flip side, looking at the 49ers, Nick Bosa and that D-line, are they going to be able to get after Pat Mahomes? And I think the answer to that is some of the time. Not as much as you think they're going to be able to do. One thing that I think that the Chiefs are going to do, they're going to do a lot of little things like leaving in a running back to chip Nick Bosa or D Ford off the edge. They're going to bring in a tight end that, to chip an end. They're going to do play action with max protection. That's a really good way to give your quarterback time to drop back and take deep shots, which is what the Chiefs are all about. They love taking deep shots down the field. If you look at Pat Mahomes, he doesn't score a lot of his touchdowns within 20 yards. He scores a lot of them from long plays, from big-time plays, chunk plays. He sits back. He doesn't have as high of a completions percentage as Garoppolo. But you know what? He'll miss on 2 throws to complete on 1 big throw. And that's what makes him so great. And then I have to look at this Niners run defense against these Chiefs. They're going to have some issues against Pat Mahomes. And this run game, I'm going to say that right now. They don't run it a lot, but I think they're going to have some issues against this run game. They're not going to get like gashed like crazy or nothing like that, but they're going to give up 4 yards here, 3 yards here, 5 yards here, 7 yards here, whether it be to Damian Williams or whether it be to Pat Mahomes. But with the Niners, they're going to be able to go up and down the field on offense against this Chiefs team. Because the Chiefs, they're a bend but don't break defense. And a bend but don't break defense that can live and die by the blitz sometimes is reminiscent of what Jim Johnson brought to the Eagles when Andy Reid was the coach there for all those years, for all those championship game runs. And who is the D coordinator for the Chiefs? One of the biggest disciples of Jim Johnson, who has a Super Bowl ring with the New York Giants, Steve Spagnuolo. He knows exactly how to bring pressure and when to bring it. And Jimmy G, they're going to go up and down the field, but he's going to have his hands full with that Chiefs pass rush. They're not great, but I'll get to that in a second. What I think is going to be the biggest thing for them is how they're going to exploit this Chiefs secondary. Who's going to win a matchup between George Kittle and the Honey Badger, or George Kittle and Daniel Sorensen? That's going to be one big matchup in the game. Just like the Tyreek Hill and Kelsey matchup against Mosley for the 49ers. And then the other matchup for the 49ers is going to be Emmanuel Sanders. Are they going to be able to exploit the mismatch that they have in the slot with Emmanuel Sanders? And then third, but not least, the running backs for the 49ers out the backfield. Those short little swing passes out the backfield. Are they going to be able to make the Chiefs pay? That's going to be the big key in this game, because we all know that the 49ers are going to run all over the field. That's a given. The thing is, are they going to be able to exploit matchups? And more importantly, are they going to be able to exploit those matchups in the red zone? I'm not sure. I'm really not sure. That being said, the Chiefs, I think the story of this game is not going to be what we expected. It's not going to be the Chiefs offense, and it's not going to be the 49ers defense. I believe the story of this game will be the Chiefs defense and how they step up in big moments. Call me crazy, but from my research, just digging a little deeper into what this Chiefs team and what this 49ers team is all about, I think this Chiefs defense is going to surprise a lot of people today. I think they're going to surprise me today. I was just at Harp and Crown last night, just having dinner, and shout out to the manager, Chris, over there. He asked me who I thought was going to win the game, and I was like, I'm leaning towards the 49ers. And he was like, no chance. I was like, what you mean, man? He was like, yo, Chiefs all day. I'm like, you think so? I'm like, if you had money, would you pick them to win big? He's like, yeah, I think they're winning. Now, don't quote me. I think he said something like 42-20 or something like that. But he has them winning big. And I don't necessarily agree with that sentiment. I think that's just maybe a little bit of hometown, kind of him wanting to pull for Andy Reid a little bit. But I think that the Chiefs are going to win this game. I think the Chiefs are going to win this game, man. On the surface, without doing any research, I thought the 49ers across the board were the better team. And I still do. I think that across the board, the 49ers are the more complete team. But in terms of the matchup, I think styles make matchups. Just like I say in boxing, styles make matchups. And I think this matchup is going to slightly favor the Chiefs. Kind of reminds me a little bit of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers from 2002 in that Super Bowl. Number one defense matching up against the number one offense. My Oakland Raiders, Rich Gannon, John Gruden. Rich Gannon and under Bill Callahan. The only difference in that game was that we didn't change our playbook, and John Gruden knew all the playbook, knew the whole playbook, knew all our calls, knew all our tendencies, and they still only beat us by 22 points, or something like that. If that means anything, only 22. But, I mean, we put up like 22 points, something like that, against a team that knew our entire playbook. Had they not known our playbook, had we not had our center go AWOL like the weekend of the game, I think it's a completely different story. And I'm looking at this Chiefs team, and I just saw a lot of tendencies last year from their matchup with the 49ers. And a lot of things that the 49ers have improved upon since then but a lot of things that they do the same. Um, that's just my thoughts. Obviously, I'm so excited for this game because it can go either way. These teams are so evenly matched from a style standpoint of view that I don't think you can go wrong picking either team. But I'm going with the Chiefs because these are some of the things that I saw that make me believe that I don't think it's such an easy win, as easy of a win for San Fran as everybody thinks it is. So I'm going with the Chiefs. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. That's pretty much it. I'm getting hungry. I'm about to go out and get my food. But yeah, hope you enjoyed that. Oh, news and notes coming up. I'll be talking about the Eagles after the Super Bowl and the draft process. Nah, bro. Listen. I ain't gonna go into a whole big rant about that. We were old as hell. But I'm telling you, look. You talk about that offense. What they brought. Jerry Rice. Tim Brown. Jerry Rice was a 1,000-yard receiver that season with over 80 catches and 6 to 7 touchdowns. He was having a really good year that year. Rich Gannon, MVP of the NFL. Our run game, we came to smash your face in the run game. That, if there was one weakness for that Tampa Bay team, it was that they could not stop the run. And you're bringing up bad memories because I'm both a Raiders fan and an Eagles fan. So I got to see my Eagles lose at the vet to close out the vet against the Bucks, and for God knows what reason, they decided to stop running the ball down the Bucks' throat after Deuce Staley pounded the rock and took the ball 30, 40 yards in the first drive. And then for whatever reason, we decided to stop running the ball. I think if the Eagles ran the ball, ran heavy, they would have beat the Bucks by 10 points. Because John Gruden, he had an answer for that Eagles defense after we smacked them around earlier in the year. But offensively, we should have done more than enough to be able to beat that team by 7 to 10 points. If we had really just stuck to running the rock, because they were lighting the ass. We pushed them around that first drive, and Andy Reid was just like, F it, let's just go to air the ball out against the one strength of that Buccaneer team. Anyways, and then I got to see the same thing the week after that because our center, for some reason, he got so drunk the night before the Super Bowl. He went down to Tijuana and was so drunk that he thought that we already played the game and thought that we won the Super Bowl, so he didn't show up for the game on Sunday. And our game plan the whole week was to run the ball down their throat. And instead, we were like, our center's not in, so let's go to passing. And it didn't work out so well for us, on top of the fact that they knew all our checks and our tendencies and our signals. Because John Gruden was calling them out in practice, pretending he was Rich Gannon. So that's neither here nor there. That's my rant for the day. But I'm picking the Chiefs. Next week, I will be getting into the Eagles, the draft coming up. Who are the top prospects? What are the holes that we need to address on this offense? We all know, obviously, speed. And then, who are some of the top draft prospects in the draft? Henry Ruggs III, that's the one that I want to get, man. If we get him from Alabama, let's go. Let's talk Super Bowl next year, but we'll get into all that. Big fight coming up the 22nd. Make sure you check out the PBC documentaries on the Deontay Wilder Tyson Fury fight coming up on the 22nd. It's going to be a banger, the rematch. The first fight was a classic. Second fight, going to be a classic. So that's coming up. And then last but not least, make sure you tune in tomorrow to the Lot Mix show. I will leave a link to it in the description on this video. My music, my new single, along with many more dope artists, are going to be getting spun on the radio tomorrow. I believe 11 o'clock. I'll let you know what time that is in France. I don't know, but either way, we move and we making moves. The French Connection, across the pond and beyond, big things. Corners and receivers, that's all I want. Oh, same here, man. Definitely the receiver Ruggs. If we can get him, that would be big. I'm I'm good with Sidney Jones. You need to address that other side of the field. So we'll see what they want to do in free agency or in the draft. But yes, I will be going for both of those spots in the draft and free agency. We're going to talk about it, though. We're going to talk about it. If there's things that you want to hear me talk about specifically, if there's certain players, leave it in the comments. I do read them, and I try to make a point to go over those things in my subsequent videos. So leave that. If you want to hear me talk about Sixers, which I'll be getting to them more as well, leave that in the comments below. What's up, Rye? Because we're going to have a lot to talk about with them coming up. We're making moves with the Delaware Blue Coats, me and Playmakers, Radio Live, Chris the Cass and Matt 007, and a lot of these guys, man, playing in the G League. You blink your eyes and you open them, and all of a sudden they're up on the main squad with the Sixers. Shake Milton had a big night the other night. I mean, he was just down in the G League earlier this year, so you never know. And we get the inside scoop, so if you want to know about all these players, you know where to find them. Playmakers Radio Live, every Tuesday, 7 to 9 p.m. That's it for now. I appreciate all y'all for tuning in. I hope y'all enjoy the game. I don't know if they're going to win, but I think they are going to, and I wouldn't mind seeing Big Red get his first Super Bowl ring. I think he's going to get two to three rings in the next 5 to 6 years with Pat Mahomes. The question is he going to get one today? And I think the answer is yes. We'll find out. Till the next time, on the next episode of Dragon Ball Z. Peace. Enjoy your Sunday.